So last week I ordered a budget-friendly fish tank stand off of Amazon, and it was just delivered this afternoon. So I'm going to go out and grab it and set it up with you guys, but first I'm going to show you guys which tank stand it was that I ordered off of Amazon. So this is the tank stand right here. I mean, it doesn't look super sturdy, but it looks like it will definitely work well. So let's get it set up and see what we think. Were not necessary. So this is what the stand looks like all set up. It came with some little grippy pads to help the tank grip on it. And honestly, I think it's pretty sturdy. The only thing I'm not overly fond about is this right here. It's sturdy, it's great for holding a fish tank on it, but I was hoping that it would sit a little lower to the ground. There's only about 16 inches of like open space between the bottom shelf and the top shelf, which like technically it is enough to put like a 20-gallon long on there, but I would only have like 3 inches of clearance for my hand for doing tank maintenance, and I feel like that would just be really inconvenient. So I am thinking what I could do on this shelf instead, because I do believe it's sturdy enough. I sat on it, I stood on it, and while I'm nowhere near 200 pounds like a fish tank would be that I would put on here, it did not bend at all. So I think it's sturdy. So, but I'm thinking what I can do on this shelf is put 5.5-gallon tanks on here for shrimp tanks. I want some tanks that are only for shrimp so that they cannot be eaten off by predators and they can just reproduce a lot, and I can either sell them or move them to other tanks and I shouldn't ever have to buy shrimp again. So I was thinking this would be wide enough to have like 4 5.5s, but I measured it and it's not quite wide enough for the 4th tank. So I could have 3. And I would be sitting them like vertically, you know, to make more space. So I think I could have 3 5.5-gallon tanks on here, planted of course, for my shrimp. And then I can move this 40-gallon onto here. Don't worry, I'm not leaving it here in front of the window. That would get a crazy amount of sunlight. I'm going to show you guys this office / fish room real quick. Don't judge, I have not cleaned it. But I realized I'm not utilizing the space very well, and so I'm not able to fit very many tanks in here. So, you know, I don't want a bunch of tanks in front of the window because it would just get so much sunlight. But what I can do is I can take my husband's desk and I can move it in front of the window. So it can, like, the short side can be right here and then it can come out, you know, right here because it's like an L shape. So that's what I'm thinking. And then I'm thinking I can take this 40-gallon stand right here and I can put it right here on this wall, kind of underneath that piece of art. And then I can take this tank stand, the black one that my axolotl tank is on. Don't judge my tank, please. I'm cleaning it later today. I know it needs cleaned, but I'm going to take this black tank and I can stick it over here in this corner. And then I was thinking I could potentially buy another one of these stands for another 40-gallon tank because my axolotl desperately needs a tank upgrade. Squishy is going to get a 40-gallon tank, and I could put it right here. So then I would have like a 29-gallon tank on this black stand over here in the corner, and then a 40-gallon tank stand. And I may buy another one of these tank stands for my axolotls, 40-gallon tank, or I may just get a different one and see if I like a different one better. I think this one does look nice and it will definitely get the job done. And it is budget friendly, so that is something I love about it. It costs just under $100 after I paid taxes and all that on Amazon, so that's nice. And you guys are probably wondering what I'm going to do with this coffee table that the 40-gallon is sitting on. Well, I'm thinking I will move it out to my living room and put a 75-gallon goldfish tank on it. I know some of you guys were saying you didn't think it was sturdy enough, but I looked at it and I looked underneath. Let's look underneath here. And I couldn't see any reason why it wouldn't be. I guess it's really sturdy with the 40-gallon, and most of the weight would be sitting right, like it would be on this part right here, right, where like these legs would be bearing up most of the weight, honestly. And I don't see why that wouldn't be sturdy enough for a 75-gallon goldfish tank. So I think that's what I'll do with that. And then over here, I have this tank, or this fish tank rack, and I think I'll keep it there, but it comes with 4 racks, and I think I'm going to take the 5.5 gallons off, the 20-gallon tall tanks, and then I can just put all 4 racks on, and there should be enough space on each rack, enough clearance for me to have 4 20-gallon long tanks on here. So then this would just be my breeding tanks. This would just be all my breeding tanks, right? I could have my purple haze guppies, common endlers, purple endlers, and probably another type of fancy guppy as well. And I would probably get rid of my small tanks, like this 3-gallon tank that I'm not even using actually. There's nothing in it except for some shrimp, or not shrimp, snails. And then I have 2 3-gallon bowls, like fish bowls, that I just have some shrimp in. There's no fish in them, and I think I would probably get rid of those as well. And I might get rid of some of my other tanks, like some of my smaller tanks. And then I would just, you know, have my breeding fish rack, my goldfish tank out in the living room, and then a 29-gallon tank over there in the corner, and my 40-gallon axolotl tank. Oh, and then this 40-gallon tank right here could go right there. I think that would be a much better way to utilize the space that I have. I was going to wait until we moved, but I realized we're not moving as soon as we thought we would, and so I'm just going to get settled into this fish room / office. I'm just going to get settled into here, and you know, we'll see what happens. If we end up moving sometime this year, we'll just have some larger, heavier tanks to move, and hopefully it's not too big of a mess when we move. So as you guys can see, I've got some pretty exciting things happening around here. I'm not going to be setting up all my tanks at once because that would be a lot of money to put down on fish tanks, like all at the same time. That would just be irresponsible of me, honestly. I'm not rich. So I'm going to do that, and I think it will be a much more uniform look. And you know, before I would just buy little tanks here and there and just try to shove them in any corner I could, because I just had pet betta fish and that was pretty much all I kept. So you know, if I wanted a new tank, I would just get another small 5-10 gallon tank and just kind of set it somewhere. But that's not the look I am going for anymore. I think I'm going to do quality over quantity, and I'm not going to have a bunch of pet betta fish anymore. I would like to expand to like live bearing fish. I would like to have some tanks set up for breeding them. I would like to have some tanks set up for breeding shrimp. And then all my other tanks, you know, I will have a few smaller betta fish tanks, but For the most part, I would like all my other fish tanks to be large, like 40 gallons, 60 gallons, 70 gallons, 75 gallons. I'll have a 75-gallon goldfish tank. And sadly, I don't have the space in my house. Maybe I'll find the space, but as of now, I don't have the space for the 60-gallon tank that I wanted to set up for my betta fish experiment. But that's okay. I can wait until we move and I can set up my tank for my betta experiment later. It's not a pressing issue. I was just excited to do the experiment. I can wait until later to do that. If you guys are really excited to just see my fish room come together and see the fish tanks that I put together here in the future in the next few months or so, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video.